Hi, Kota. Let's take a look at this new set of essays you sent us. It's about international and domestic travel, benefits and drawbacks. Let's see what you wrote. Experts throughout both the developing and developed countries have debated regards to advantages and disadvantages of increasing travelers. This essay will look from the both sides, using examples from the city of Tokyo and Barcelona to demonstrate points and prove arguments. All right, so it's okay, but some of the grammar is a little inaccurate. Let's look at it again. Experts throughout both experts throughout both developing and developed countries have debated regarding the advantages and disadvantages of travel. This essay will look at both sides using examples from the city of Tokyo and Barcelona to demonstrate points and prove arguments. Okay, that's how you wanted to do it. Let's continue. On the one hand, there is ample evidence that the more travelers visit places, the more developed a city becomes. Here, a city becomes. The central reason behind this is twofold. Firstly, the local revenues rise. Okay, explain that before you go into your next idea. Secondly, the number of facilities catering to tourists increase. For example, recent empirical research from the city of Tokyo demonstrates that the number of local hostels and souvenir shops that provide domestic information grew rapidly as the number of visitors increased. D. It must not be forgotten that although there are a few drawbacks to increasing tourists, successful tourism is one of the most effective solutions for boosting the local economy. Therefore, it is conclusively clear that the increasing number of travelers brings profits for local citizens. All right, I would not have included this thing about the drawbacks. You're going to spend a whole paragraph talking about them, so there's absolutely zero reason to put that here. Let's see. So essentially, all you told us is that shops grew and money grew. Okay, fine. Let's continue. On the other hand, although there is a case for economical profit and enriching infrastructure, the impact of pollution brought by visitors cannot be overstated. This is largely due to the fact that most foreigners often indulge during their visit, drinking and making noise with peers. For example, in Barcelona, many local citizens complained about tourists for the disrespectful attitude of making noise late at night and throwing litter, it's uncountable, so it's no S, on the streets. Consistent with this line of thinking is that increasing travelers not only brings money, but also noise and waste. Thus, it's possible to state beyond doubt that it is necessary to construct sufficient infrastructure prior to the visitors coming. All right, that's good. From the arguments and examples given, there are no commas in this essay, given, the increasing number of travelers internationally and domestically because it's an increasing number, it's one thing, has economical benefits, but also drawbacks in terms of the pollution caused by visitors. It is predicted that regulation of tourism will increasingly grow in importance. Okay, I liked it. So I thought you did a nice job. A few little things, all right, but I think you get the idea. On the whole, I thought it was quite good. So let's take a look at your graph about movies. The chart illustrates the male and female young adult preferences. You didn't actually need to use apostrophe S apostrophe. Just the chart illustrates the male and female young adult preferences. So it acts like an adjective, okay? For 6 different movie genres. Overall, it is clear that the preference depends on the sex for certain types of movies. Well, I think you could have done a little more than just that. That doesn't really tell us a lot. You're telling us that there are just differences between men and women. So that's not particularly informative. You could have told us instead that while comedy was the most popular for both genders, differences in preference varied for other genres. Okay, that would have been far more informative without, giving too much information. According to the graph, it can be stated that women like romantic and drama films. The figure for females in the romantic film was nearly triple the males, with 116 and 31 respectively. The animation movies were only preferred by the half of the figures for romantic, with 54. All the other genres were preferred more by men than women. Especially for the action movie, the figure for the male audience was nearly half times more than the female. All right, so I'm finding that the organization of this answer is a little strange. This is not how I would suggest doing it. I want to get into some more information about that, but before I do, let's look at your next paragraph. What to be noted is that from all the 6 different kinds of movies, the most preferred genre was a comedy film. It was the best preferred by both male and female adults, with 145 and 137 respectively. Furthermore, the total amount of preference for comedy was nearly double the figure for animation. Okay, so I would have started off with this. In other words, I would have started here and then I would have gone to comedy because it's the highest number, and it's the highest number for both. So obviously you're going to start there. I thought that this was rather an interesting but not entirely appropriate way to do it. So I do want to also correct grammar, but before I do that, let me tell you how I would do this. In my overview, I would have said that comedy was the most popular for both, but other than that, their preferences varied. Okay, and then I would have a paragraph about the men. And for the men, I would say that among men, comedy was the most popular genre with 145. This was followed closely by action with 137. The least popular genre among men was romantic films with only 31, which is 1/5 the figure of comedy. And the remaining categories, and you can name them horror, drama, and animation, had between 63 and 73 viewers. And then you're done. Then you go on to the women. As with men, women also preferred comedy movies, with 137 women recorded. Following this was the romantic genre with 116. Okay. Least popular among women was animation with only 54. And then you could also say 9 viewers fewer than the figure for men. If you want, you can do that. You don't have to. All right. And then just kind of deal with these other ones the way we talked about before. All right. So you're saying that for women, most popular, second most popular, least popular. And quite honestly, if you don't want to, you don't even have to. You already know that this is where romantic films is. This is where the least is. So by process of elimination, you can assume that the other 2 genres are between 54 and 116. Okay? So if you wanted to have one kind of brief statement about those, you could say that the remaining categories, drama and horror, had 64 and 86, something like that. Okay? Or we're somewhere in the middle. Again, something kind of brief because you don't want to tire people with too many details. So that's how I would do that. Okay? So you saw I went to the outliers. I went first, second, lowest, and then smushed the rest in between. All right, so let's see a little bit about your grammar here. The chart illustrates the male and female young adult preferences for 6 movie genres. Overall, it is clear that the preference depends on the sex for certain types of movies. Grammatically, this is fine. According to the graph, it can be stated that women like romantic and drama films. The figure for females uh, regarding romantic films was nearly triple that of males, with 116 and 31 respectively. Animation movies without the were only preferred by half of the population. This is complicated, and there's really no reason to do this. Let's see. Honestly, I like what you're trying to do, but it's just too complicated, so you need to simplify it. Animation movies were preferred by only 54, which is half the figure of romantic movies. All the other genres were preferred more by men than women, especially for action movies. The figure of the male audience was nearly, I don't know what this means, double that of females. Action. Yeah, I think that's what you mean. The figure the figure of the male audience was nearly double that of female. And then this was kind of awkward here. It should be noted that from all 6 different kinds of movies, the most preferred genre was comedy films. Get rid of the A. It was the most preferred by both male and female adults, with 145, 137. Furthermore, the total number of preference for comedy was nearly double the figure for animation. All right, it's fine. So I want you to work on some of those things. I also want you to work on how to organize your data. Um, Generally, this is a good rule of thumb. Try, when it's possible, try talking about the outliers. So talk about the top, talk about maybe the second highest, and then talk about the bottom, and then kind of just try to deal with everything else in between. Okay. So keep at it, keep working, and I'll wait to see your next set of essays. Good luck to you.